Welcome back to another YouTube video. Hope you're having a good day. This video is going to be going over all my favorite movies from the 90s. So let's get right into it by genre. So first up, we're going to go with comedies. We got What About Bob, starring Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. Next up, American Pie, all-time classic movie. Next up, we got the Austin Powers movies. I believe the first two were made in the 90s, and then the third one might have been the early 2000s, but I grew up watching these all the time. Next up, we got the Ace Ventura Collection, Pet Detective, and When Nature Calls. Personally, I prefer Pet Detective. Let me know which one that you prefer. There's going to be a lot of Adam Sandler in this video, but starting off with Big Daddy. One of my all-time favorite Adam Sandler movies. As well as Billy Madison, another one of my all-time favorite Adam Sandler movies. And fun fact, if you didn't know that, but for the dodgeball scene, Adam Sandler was actually throwing those balls as hard as he could. Next up, we got this iconic duo, Chris Farley and David Spade. I wish that they made more movies together, but Chris Farley wasn't alive much longer after these two movies, sadly. Over Black Sheep and Tommy Boy, I prefer Tommy Boy. I have that coming up. Next up is Encino Man. I watched this one growing up as well. Yeah, I wish that more people would talk about this movie, and I wish it would get a Blu-ray release. And we got some more Adam Sandler. We got Happy Gilmore. Basically, anything Adam Sandler is going to be in this video. Even if I do a 2000s video and such, I'll throw in most of his movies. Next up, we got the 10 film collection, Best of 90s. The movies on here that I wanted to talk about were Dumb and Dumber and The Mask. I have a separate copy of Rush Hour, which I'll show off once I get to it. I do have separate copies of Dumb and Dumber, and I want to get a separate copy of The Mask. Next up, we got Major Payne. I've seen this one a few times. It's really funny. That boy right there, that's the Shermanator from the American Pie movies, if you didn't know that. Go ahead and check that movie out if you haven't seen it. I recommend it. Here we go with Tommy Boy. This very nice steelbook my brother got me for my birthday. I love the back of it. Let's take a second and open it up. There's the inside. Next up, we got yet another Adam Sandler movie. We got The Waterboy. Beverly Hills Ninja, starring Chris Farley. And I'm not sure when The Cable Guy was actually made. It might have been late 90s, early 2000s, so I'm not throwing that one in there. I mainly threw in this set for Beverly Hills Ninja. An underrated movie is Mixed Nuts, right here, but it's not one of my favorites. Now we're moving into the action section. So we got Jumanji, the original one, my absolute favorite of the Jumanji movies. The remakes are nowhere near as good as this original one, and this is my second favorite Robin Williams movie, right behind Miss Doubtfire. Next up, we got this Bad Boys collection. The first one came out in the 90s, and then the second one came out in the early 2000s, and then the last one came out a couple years ago. So yeah, great duo, Martin Lawrence, Will Smith. I wish that they would make more movies together, not just the Bad Boys movies. Next up, we got Lethal Weapon collection. The third and fourth one are from the 90s. Not some of my all-time favorite movies, but going through genre, I'm picking out some of my favorites from each. But yes, they are good movies. Next up, we got this Rush Hour trilogy, still sealed. I got this off of Amazon for a good deal. Next up, we got Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, starring Sylvester Stallone and Estelle Getty. one of the Golden Girls, with this very nice VHS looking slipcover. And everybody shits on this movie, but it's one that I grew up watching and then I rewatched earlier this year. I'll show you the cover. And there's the case. Definitely not the best Sylvester Stallone movie, but I still enjoy to watch it. Next up, we got Con Air, starring Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, and John Malkovich. There are some other great actors in this movie. One of my favorite action movies of all time. Next up, we got Harrison Ford in The Fugitive. Watched this for the very first time in school in my criminal justice class. Makes sense to watch this type of movie. I have not seen the follow-up movie to this with Tommy Lee Jones, U.S. Marshals, but I recently picked it up. So I look forward to checking that out. Next up, we got another Nicolas Cage movie. Also Sean Connery in it, called The Rock. I enjoyed this one a decent amount of it. And I've only seen it once. Next up, we got the all-classic Speed. And starring Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. I want to upgrade that one to Blu-ray at some point. Next up, we got T2, Terminator 2, my favorite action movie of all time. Let me know your favorite action movie of all time. Since we've gone through comedy as well, just go ahead and leave a comment from your favorite movie from each genre from the 90s. So next up, we're moving up to family movies. We got Shiloh and Shiloh Season. This is my favorite movies about a dog. I prefer the original one. Wait, I'm not sure which one I prefer, but they're both really good. Grew up watching those all the time. Bicentennial Man, starring Ron Williams. Watched this one for the very first time in school. Wait, no, I didn't. Never mind. Scratch that. Next up, we got The Amazing Panda Adventure. Nobody ever talks about this movie, but this is one that I watched a lot growing up. Dunstan checks in, same as Amazing Panda Adventure. Grew up watching this one all the time. I wish that one would get a Blu-ray. I wish this one would get a Blu-ray as well. Dennis the Menace. And Christopher Lloyd stars in it. Next up, we got the Everything Ernest 3-movie collection. Ernest Scared Stupid came out in '91. My favorite Ernest movie. Childhood classics. Next up, we got Edward Scissorhands. My personal favorite Johnny Depp role. My personal favorite Tim Burton movie. Next up, we got this Good Burger Steelbook. And there's what the inside looks like. And I'll take the disc out and show you what's behind it, because it's pretty cool. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? Of course, they had to put that in there. Why wouldn't they? Next up, we got Home Alone Classic. One of my favorite movies of all time. I can watch that any day of the year. And with the follow-up movie, Home Alone 2. Also one of my favorite movies, can watch any time of the year. And we got this Home Alone 3. Nowhere near as good as the originals. But I still enjoy this one. And I grew up watching it over and over again. I still enjoy it. Next up, we got Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. I almost said Honey, I Shrunk Ourselves. But that one is next. Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. I absolutely love these movies. Next up, we got Hocus Pocus. Watched this one for the very first time last year, around the Halloween time. And I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Let's keep it going with The Little Rascals. Absolute classic to me, my opinion. And that kid kind of looks like Macaulay Culkin, but it is not. I enjoy the sequel. I haven't seen that one as many times as I have the original one. Next up, we got Matilda. Just a great movie with Danny DeVito. I would like to upgrade this one to Blu-ray as well. I would also like to upgrade Mouse Hunt. I don't hear anybody talk about this one, but it's one of my mom's favorite movies, I think. Next up, we got Miss Doubtfire. Don't even need to say who's in it. Just a Really great movie. My favorite Robin Williams movie. Then we got Bean the movie. I haven't seen that one as many times as this one, Mr. Bean's Holiday. I grew up watching that one on repeat. Then we got the Santa Claus Trilogy Blu-ray box set. Of course, the first one came out in, I want to say 94 or 96. One of my favorite Christmas movies. And that's all of the family movies. I think I did forget to say that we're going into family movies, but now we're going into horror. So we got this Chucky complete box set. So really any of the Chucky movies that came out in the 90s are going to be listed in this video as my favorites from the horror genre. Then we got the Critters 4-film collection, and I do have a 5th one individually, but that one came out like 2018 or 2019. I don't know which ones came out in the 90s. I believe it's 3 and 4. I could be wrong about that. And finally, in the horror genre, classic Scream. Scream is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Next up, we're going into I've got 2 comedy thrillers. 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag, starring Joe Pesci. I'm a really big fan of this movie, and it's got a very young David Spade in it. But very big fan of this movie, and I've only seen it one time. Then the other comedy thrillers are Serial Mom and Very Bad Things. Nurse Betty is a good one, but I don't remember much from it. And then Your Friends and Neighbors, not a fan of it. But I might give it a rewatch one day. But yeah, these 2 movies are very underrated. I definitely recommend that you check them out if you can. And we've got one more thriller / horror, if you want to throw it under the horror genre. Anaconda, with this great all-star cast: Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, and Jon Voight. And Owen Wilson. I don't know why his name is not on the front over Eric Stoltz. But yeah, I don't know why that movie does not get enough love. Next, we're moving into the animated section. We got The Iron Giant. Vin Diesel voices the Iron Giant, and Jennifer Aniston voices the boy's mom. This is a very underrated animated movie. Let me know if you have seen it and or heard of it. Next up, we've got classic Disney's The Lion King. I do find it a bit overrated, but still very enjoyable. Next up, we got my favorite animated movie of all time, Toy Story. No animated movie will ever beat that. Then we got Toy Story 2, a very good sequel. And finally, the last genre is drama. We've got Forrest Gump. I do find it a bit overrated, but still very good. Then My Cousin Vinny. I would like to upgrade this one. I enjoyed this one a lot. I watched it for the very first time a couple weeks ago. And we got some more Robin Williams and Patch Adams. I've only seen this once and thought it was really good. Titanic. One of my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movies. Actually is my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie. And then it would be What's Eating Gilbert Grape, I believe. And here it is, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which I just mentioned. Watch this one for the very first time in my 9th grade year of school. And yeah, that is the last movie of that section, and that is the last movie of this video. So those were some of my favorite movies from the 90s. I might be doing a favorites of the 2000s. But anyways, I'll see you in the next video.